Welcome back to the Bluegrass in this beautiful February afternoon. It's 14 degrees and I love it, okay? And that's the attitude you gotta have, guys, because one of these days you're gonna be too old to go outside and you're just gonna be looking out that window thinking about all the times you could have went outside and you didn't, okay? So what we're gonna talk about today is how cold is too cold to take your dog out for exercise and a little puppy-sized adventure, okay? And here's the reason I make this video, is because whenever it's kind of cold or hot, I get a lot of emails asking me about the weather. Hey Stonnie, is it too hot to take my dog on a walk? Is it too cold to take my dog on an adventure? And what those owners are really looking for is they're looking for me to sign off on their lack of work ethic, right? They're looking for me to sign off on their lack of an adventurous attitude. And I'm not doing it, because what I'm out here doing, guys, I'm trying to get you to get out, to get moving, to be interesting, to socialize yourself and socialize the dogs. And I know with this whole COVID nonsense that people have kind of lost sight of how important it is to get out and socialize, but it's very important, okay? So you see all these dogs running around and playing, okay? Look at these dogs. I could have said earlier, I could have said, you know what, George, it's too cold to go out and exercise the dogs. And even though we're getting paid to train dogs today, we have an excuse not to go out and train dogs, not to go out and exercise them, not to go out and socialize them. I could have said that, and I could have even sold that to the people that pay me, you know, but that's not me. Every day I'm going to put that work in, and if you signed on to have a dog, you need to get up and you need to put that work in, okay? Just the bottom line. Now, so you'll see George has exercised a bunch of dogs. We have dogs out here that range in age from 16 weeks to this guy here, he's 14 years old. Hell, he might be a little older than that now, you know. But the reality is every day we're going to come out here and we're going to exercise them and we're going to let them socialize and we're going to go on some kind of little adventure because we signed on to be good dog owners. And I want you to sign on to be a good dog owner. Does that mean, though, that you have to take your dog out and put them in danger? No. Okay, and all you have to do, this is just get right to the chase, cut to the chase, all you have to do to keep your dog out of danger as it relates to weather, you know, it's too hot, it's too cold, okay, is just use common sense, okay? So let's take a look at what I'm saying about common sense. You'll notice, what am I wearing today? I'm wearing a big puffy coat, right? And underneath this coat, I have quite a bit of fat, a little bit more than I should. But between this puffy coat and my thick layer of fat, I'm pretty well suited for being outside in inclement weather. The same thing holds true for these dogs. So this dog, even though she's pretty old, maybe 12 years old, and this dog is 14 years old, you know, he's got a good, nice, thick coat. Got a nice layer of fat. He can come out here and he can hang out and roll around in the snow. And even the other day when it was, you know, kind of sleeting, you know, these labs, they're just out here, they're covered in water and ice and don't care. Now, look at this German Shorthair pointer, okay? She's funny. Her name's Addie, okay? And Addie's a real athlete, okay? But if you'll notice, when you look at a German Shorthair pointer, look, she's not wearing a big fur coat like this lab. Okay, and she doesn't have any fat on her. See how you can see her muscles, right? So this dog is not suited for being in the cold if she's not moving. See, now notice that caveat there. I said this lab, even at 14 years old, or River at 16, 18, 20 weeks old, whatever he is, these guys here that are playing, they can be out here, and they can take a nap in this nice cold weather, right? It can be sleeting, and I say, hey dogs, come in. They just look at me like, recess isn't over. I'm gonna keep hanging out. Look at that English pointer back there. He's also like the German Shorthair pointer. All muscle, no fat. He doesn't have a coat on. So he has to be moving. Notice I keep coming back to that moving. Guys, if you have a dog and they're chubby like me and they got a big coat like me, they can just go out and they chill out. And if you can go outside, okay, your Labrador Retriever can go outside, your St. Bernard can go outside, your Newfoundland can go outside, your Chessie can go outside. If it was a dog that was bred to perform in a wide range of cold environments, if you can go outside, it can go outside. Now, if you have a dog that's more of a fair weather dog, a muscular dog that doesn't have much in the way of a winter coat, okay, that dog can go outside in adverse conditions also, but it has to be able to keep moving, okay? So when I'm out here watching these dogs, what I'm looking to see in terms of when a dog needs to go up are signs of obvious physical distress. And you might say, well, Stonnie, what does that mean? Okay, take a look at River. Can you see River good? River is covered in snow and he's laying there and is as happy as what a dog could be. And he's liable to fall asleep out here right in the middle of this field and wake up in an hour and be like, hey, where'd everybody go? Because he's completely immune to being cold, right? If we go to a creek, he just stands in the middle of the creek, breaks the ice, he doesn't care, it doesn't bother him a bit. Riley is the same way, B is the same way. But look at this. Do you see any distress on that dog, right? No, he's just sitting there looking at me saying, hey, Stoney, you got a treat for me? I'm like, yeah, sure, right? Now, come up this way a little bit, Georgie. You see this little dog here, the Silver Lab and Addie. The Silver Lab does not have the same kind of coat that Riley has or B has or River has. So I got to be a little bit more careful, and I have to watch for signs that they're getting cold. This German Shorthair and this English Pointer, I have to watch very closely for signs that they're getting cold. And you say, okay, Stoney, all right, I'm starting to get it. If the dog has a big coat and a lot of fat, you don't have to watch them too close. They can pretty much stay out as long as you stay out. And then if a dog's muscular, doesn't have much fat, doesn't have much coat, you got to watch them close. But what am I watching for? Guys, you're watching for the same thing out of the dogs that you watch for out of your children or yourself. You know, when you go outside and you got little kids and they're sledding, at first when they're running around and playing, like you ain't got to worry. You don't have to ask them if they're cold, right? When do you ask them if they're cold? When you start seeing their hands disappear. When you start seeing them bunch up like this. When you start seeing them standing beside you all the time asking, hey, is it time to go home yet? Okay. When you start seeing them blowing on their hands. When you start seeing her teeth chattering, okay, that is when, right now my cameraman's doing this with her hand because her hand's getting cold, right? Okay, when they're playing, look here, back up a little bit, cameraman, watch this. These guys are fine, perfectly fine, perfectly fine. When this English Pointer, Addie, come here. When these guys start slowing down and you start noticing that instead of running around and playing, they're standing there looking at you, that's your first sign that they're about ready to go in. If you see that they're down on the ground and they keep prancing, okay, then you need to check their paws because that's telling you that their paws are starting to get uncomfortable and they don't want them on the ground. Okay, if you let your dog get to the point to where it's sitting beside you and it's shivering, well, listen, you're starting to get over into that point of not being a very conscientious dog owner, okay? So just use a little bit of common sense, guys. Dogs, big coat, lots of fat, go out, play, have a good adventure. Every once in a while, check their paws, make sure they're okay, right? Dogs that are muscular but bred to be outdoor dogs, go out and keep them moving until they start to slow down. You notice you're seeing Addie more now than in the beginning of the video, okay? Whenever I see Addie slow down, I know that she's not going to be able to generate enough heat to keep herself warm, so it's time to go in. If I let Addie get to the point to where she has to come over here and sit beside me and pick her paws up and prance or scratch at me or shiver, now I've went a little bit too far, okay? And I need to get back to the truck or I need to get back to the house. Now, as far as those coats go, this is my opinion about coats. I'm not a big fan of coats. If it's so cold that your dog needs a coat on, that dog probably doesn't need to go outside. Just that simple, right? So if I have these Shorthairs here and I put a coat on them, they run, they get sticks and burrs and stuff in their coat, they get water under the coat. You know, I'm just not a big, I'm just not a big coat fan myself. Booties, you know, listen, I've got some online clients that I do that are up in Canada, and booties are big up there because what happens kind of with the snow is the dogs will be walking along and then in between their pads, you'll get a little bit of snow build up. And so I'm a big fan of using like wax feet coverings, you know, make sure if you have a dog that has some fur on its paws, you keep the fur, the hair cut between its toes, you know, that's pretty, again, common sense stuff. Booties, I'm pretty pro booties. Coats, not really a fan of coats because the kind of adventuring we do, the dogs will get out and like I said, they get burrs under their coat, they get sticks under the coat, the coats catch on things, you know. And what I really don't like is, just to be honest with you, the fact that the coat gives you as an owner kind of an artificial sense of whether or not your dog belongs in that weather, okay? Does that make sense? So if you have a fair weather dog and you need to go out on an adventure, go out, walk with purpose, or let them run, let them play, let them have a good time with purpose. And when they start to slow down, go back inside. Don't decide that you as the owner want to take a 3-mile walk and you have a fair weather dog, but it'll be okay to take an extended walk just because the dog wears a coat, okay? That's just my theory. You do whatever you want to, but you're not going to ever see any coats out here at my place. I take dogs out for the weather that they're suited to be in, and I let them play until the weather starts to give them trouble. So if it's hot, I look for signs of heat fatigue, and if it's cold, I look for signs of cold fatigue, and then we turn around and we go back to the house. And if I want to take a longer walk, then I'll take a walk after I've taken care of the dog. So that's my take on when is it too cold to take your dog out? Basically, never. Unless you live way up north and you're in sub-zero weather, you can get out and you can exercise your dog and you can go for a puppy-sized adventure. There's 2 elements to taking your dog on a walk. You have the duration of the walk and the intensity of the walk. If the weather is inclement in the cold, you just shorten the duration, raise the intensity. It's that simple. So just common sense things. Take your dog out, exercise them, don't give them a chance to get too cold, keep your intensity up because the movement builds body heat, okay? And then, like, look, if they need a coat, just leave the coat at home. Take the dog out for a shorter period of time, and then if you really need to take a longer walk or if you want to be out sledding or whatever, then put the dog back in the warm environment, come out and have a good time yourself. All right, I hope that helps, guys. I'll see you later.